Mr. Lightstone.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My questions today are for the Minister of Family Services. Mr. Speaker, there's a plethora of employment opportunities here in Iqaluit, which do not require advanced education or high-end certification and can be fulfilled with relatively straightforward basic labor. Fortunately, organizations are having trouble filling these jobs. Mr. Speaker, at the same time, we have a significant number of Iqaluit residents who are on income assistance. Information provided in the 2021-2022 Government of Nunavut business plans indicate that there were over 1,000 Iqaluit residents on income assistance. Mr. Speaker, that information was not included in the Government of Nunavut's most recent business plans for 22-23. Mr. Speaker, in order to address needs and issues in our communities, we require good, up-to-date information. And I would like to ask the Minister to indicate how many Iqaluit residents are currently receiving income assistance, and will the Minister commit to ensuring that this up-to-date information on the number of income assistance recipients by community is included in future business plans? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Minister of Family Services, Ms. Nakashu.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you for asking that question about how many Iqaluit residents are on income assistance. The last data we had 1,000 Iqaluit residents, and as to how many there were the past year, the number goes up and down within the year, but right now I don't have the up-to-date list of how many residents are currently on income assistance. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
For supplementary, Mr. Lightstone.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank the Minister for that response, and maybe I'll follow up on that at a later date. Mr. Speaker, it pains me greatly to see people arriving from elsewhere to take jobs that our local residents could easily fill. I believe that we are facing an artificial labor shortage, whereby income assistance recipients are disincentivized to join the workforce. One solution to this situation, which has been raised in the House on many occasions, is adopting a guaranteed basic income. In the government's 2022-2023 business plan, the Department of Family Services priorities include reviewing the results of its guaranteed basic income feasibility study and implementing recommendations from the study. I'd like to ask the Minister to provide an update on the results of the guaranteed basic income feasibility study and indicate what steps will be taken to implement such recommendations. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Minister of Family Services, Ms. Nakashu.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you for asking that question. Your question about income support recipients as to how else they can be helped. We know the situation in Iqaluit, and we know the career development officers are always helping people who are looking for help, and that continues today. And they try to help people who are trying to further their education or trying to get jobs within the community. And they get help with job descriptions and income assistance recipients. We want to make sure that they don't get stuck in income assistance. We try to move them towards educating themselves. And what you're talking about, that report that you mentioned, that is always being worked on, the guaranteed basic income assessment. We thought we could complete it in the fall, but we believe it's now going to be completed in December. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ay pangalo ang malukit.
Lightstone.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank the Minister for the response. I'll definitely be following up on that at a later date as well. Mr. Speaker, another contributing factor to the artificial labor shortage is the Nunavut Housing Corporation's rent scale. Mr. Speaker, across the 3 territories, Nunavut has the lowest basic social assistance, income support, amongst the territories. Mr. Speaker, this is largely due to the fact that both Yukon and NWT are paying higher income support payments because it includes rent allocation or portion. So in order to overcome this disincentive to join the workforce, I was curious if the Department of Family Services is considering incorporating rent into either the current income support system or the potential guaranteed basic income program. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Minister of Family Services, Ms. Nakashuk.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you for the question. The review, which is currently happening, and for assessing income based on rent, and for those on welfare, there's a $60 payment and a portion that is paid to the Housing Corporation for electricity and fuel on an annual review of the amount, $720. In the utilities, it's about $27,000 annually that the government subsidizes. And when they seek employment, we assess their employment levels and include those, and to subsidize. But you also have to think the government needs additional funds for that. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Oral question.